Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking, as Andy's just said, about the importance of lighting within interior design, looking at Maria's work in hospitality. MKV design aims to sort of reflect Maria's constant quest for new ideas and approaches. So we'll be looking at a bit of that today. Thank you for joining us, Maria. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
So with every project you work on, they're all so individual. What are the main considerations when it comes to the lighting, and how do you ensure that you get it right?
We are interior designers, so we use light as a different media that creates tailor-made solutions that respond to the specific needs of every project. Over the years, we are experimenting, and we have experimented a lot, and we found that light and lighting features is a great tool for creating different experiences. In this respect, I have two photos from two different projects, totally different projects. This is a very old project of ours. It must be almost 20 years old by now. It was a very, very difficult space, very low ceiling, 3 meters high, refurbishment, old building in the 60s, early 70s, and we desperately needed to do a feature that would give some identity to the space. We came up with this snake-like light installation. I wouldn't even call it a pendant. We did it in collaboration with Ochre, and at the time there wasn't a lot of LED lighting. You can see we used tiny little incandescent bulbs, and this installation transformed the space. And instead of going into a very, very low ceiling, your eye was drawn really into this light feature, and it worked extremely well.
Okay.
In a different project, which was the refurbishment of the Kempinski in Budapest, the brief and the needs of the project were totally different. The scale, as you can see, was totally the opposite. We wanted to do something sculptural. And this is where we came up with the idea of doing this backlit art, something that would be not only recognizable but visible from the outside of the building. So when guests arrive, they will almost be drawn into the hotel by the presence of this backlit feature.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, moving on to the next slide, there's been a definite shift in the industry towards the use of decorative and sculptural lighting, as we can see here. Why do you think this is? Why do you think there is this sort of shift towards something more sculptural?
I think what has revolutionized the industry is the LED light. The LED light has given us enormous flexibility to achieve forms that we weren't even imagining before when we were doing our decorative lighting. Yeah. And as you can see from this photo, which is from a residence we've done in London, we used this beautiful feature by Neem Bari, which is a sculpture, effectively. This couldn't have been done without the LED lighting. So this is the revolution that is happening right now.
Okay. And how do decorative lighting and sculptural lighting work to complement the architectural elements within a space then? How do you bring that all together?
That's a different example, and this is where you see where architectural lighting complements decorative lighting and where both merge. This is a custom-made design. It's interactive, and it's very difficult to see in a static photo. Mm-hmm. But those spheres, those pendant lights were custom-made by Lasvit. We worked with Lasvit together. What these do, there is a lot happening in this atrium. It is a very big space, and the vertical element is very important. So we came up with the idea of doing these spheres that are very active not only in terms of the color of the light, but also of the form and of the shape that the bulbs take on the sphere. So this is something that, instead of being a static element, becomes something that adds interest in the space and complements all the rest that is happening, which is pure architectural lighting. So it doesn't compete with it, but it adds the extra layer.
Okay. I think we've got another example here, haven't we?
What we have here is, we worked on the Birkenstock Resort, and although this is the new part of the resort, we had a lot of old pendants, the old-fashioned chandeliers that every hotel in the beginning of the century had. And because, obviously, for sustainability reasons, but also for reusing the past, we decided to take the crystals from all the old chandeliers and use them in this almost architectural form and make new pendants that also verge between architectural lighting and decorative lighting.
Yeah. I think we've got one more. Variation.
And here you can see the ballroom, where obviously, again, with different forms and different heights, we reused the old chandeliers, but we've done them in a much more contemporary way in expression.
Okay. So going back to your point about LED and how it's opened up the doors for sculptural lighting, how do you feel that the technology has revolutionised the industry? Would you say it's bridging the gap between what we would traditionally consider architectural lighting and what we would consider decorative?
Yes, I think it does. I think we find nowadays that there are that the architectural lighting, because of the LED, can become a bit more decorative, because you can add into the architectural lighting much more decorative elements that give it a totally different appearance from the Spartan look of an architectural light. But also decorative lighting can become a bit more architectural. And this example is the light that I have designed for Contardi. It's called Beam. And what this light does, apart from the aesthetics, it can be operated with the presence of your hand, and by putting your hand underneath the bulb, you can effectively direct the light to where you need it. And it comes in the form of both the desk lamp, but also the floor lamp. And obviously, this is technology. Without that, we just had, the dimmer or on and off. Whereas now we find that there are endless opportunities with technology, not only to operate, but also to master the light itself.
Yeah. Okay. And do you feel clients are aware of the difference lighting can make to a space, or is there still some education to be done? What's your experience on that?
I think that clients now recognize how important lighting is. I mean, 10 years ago, we were going into projects and we were struggling to, to make the client go for a lighting designer. Whereas now the lighting consultant is at par with all the other consultants. I think education still is happening, and most probably it's happening when it comes to the technical specifications of the bulbs, not really the aesthetics. We, as interior designers, we are luckier with what we do, because it's easy to sell to a client a decorative light because of its aesthetics. But when it comes to the bulb, color light, how the light functions, this is where the education, I think, is still ongoing.
Because as well, architectural lighting is so important for creating that right mood, isn't it? And getting the right...
And the technical specs of the light itself are very, very important. But this is not as tangible as all the other things. You have to really know it in order to understand it.
So do you always partner with a lighting designer on your projects?
Yes, we always try, and we always partner with lighting designers, yes.
Good, that's good. And finally, what are you seeing in terms of trends within the design industry at the moment? Is there anything you've seen during London Design Festival this week, for example, or?
I think we live in times where everything is trendy.
Yeah.
You can see that there is a lot of architectural lighting, and this is driven by the LED and what we said before, a lot of sculptural lighting that is there. But I also think that there is also a big comeback to the basics and to the grand chandeliers, to different materials. We're exploring crystal, metal, all of it. So I would say there isn't one specific, I wouldn't pick up one specific trend, but I would say the trend is that everything is possible, and the imagination is just the limit.
Is there anything out there that you particularly dislike, or trends you wish would disappear?
Not really, no. I think what we do, even if we don't necessarily like something, I think there is always the positive and negative in things. And the good thing is that when there is a plethora of things out there, it's good, and the more it is out there, because we tend to tailor-make things in any case, so we will turn it around to suit our needs and our aesthetics.
Yeah.
So, no.
Do you feel MKV has a certain design style when it comes to things like that then? Or?
No, I don't think it does. I think if anyone even sees, even now, this, this last photo of the Birkenstock, it's an architectural treatment on the ceiling, but again, it's tailor-made with the Edelweiss flower because it is in Switzerland and is backlit. So no, we don't have a style. We try not to have the style. We say that the style is the project's style.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been lovely having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Very much.